$4.11 is what is sitting in your checking account on a Thursday morning in February, and you are 27 years old.
You are not panicking because you know exactly where the money went, and you transferred it yourself. $1,200 into the index fund, $412 into the Roth, the rest to the 401k contribution you adjusted last quarter.
The $4.11 is not a mistake. It is the remainder, the leftover, the proof that you moved everything you could. The apartment is quiet, and it is the specific quiet of 6:43 in the morning, before the city remembers itself.
You are standing at the counter with a cup of drip coffee you made from a bag that costs $9 and will last 11 days.
You are not making drip coffee because you love drip coffee. You are making it because the French press you wanted was $94.
$94 was 2 weeks of contributions. So you did the math in the store and you put it back on the shelf.
That was the moment. Not a dramatic one, just a man holding a glass coffee maker in a housewares aisle doing arithmetic no one else was doing. You set it down quietly and walked out. And you did not tell anyone about that moment because there is no way to explain it. There is no way to describe it without sounding like you are bragging or suffering, and you are doing neither. You are just building something no one can see yet.
Your name is not on any building. You do not own a boat, and you drive a 2017 Honda Civic with 147,000 miles on it. There is a small crack in the passenger side mirror that you have been meaning to fix since last spring, and your net worth is not visible from the outside.
That is the point. And the number you are watching is $987,440. You have been watching it for 3 years the way some people watch a weather forecast every Sunday night, sometimes Wednesday morning before work. Sometimes you open the app at midnight just to confirm the number is still there, still moving, still doing the slow, invisible thing that money does when you leave it alone. $987,440. And you know how far that is from $1 million the way you know your own birthday.
$12,560. And at current contribution rates and historical S&P 500 averages, you estimated that crossing 6 to 18 months away.
That was 3 months ago. And Marcus from your office bought a new F-150 in October. Crew cab, sport package, a Cowboys bumper sticker he put on in the parking lot. You remember standing at the window watching him pull out and thinking nothing judgmental, just that is one way. And this is another. Marcus makes roughly what you make, and he is not reckless, he's not stupid, he just made a different set of decisions about what the money is for. In 20 years, one of you will have options, and one of you will have a truck that is worth $8,000, and neither of you is talking about it. You have been doing this since you were 23. The year you got your first real job at $67,000 a year, which felt enormous until you did the math. After taxes and rent and student loan minimums, you had about $900 a month to make decisions with. So you made a decision. You opened a brokerage account at 23 with $240. You set up automatic transfers. You read everything you could find about index funds. You did not do anything complicated, and you did not stop. Because most people stop after 3 months when something happens, and the pause becomes a habit. The habit becomes a story they tell themselves about why this was never really going to work for someone like them. And you were more afraid of that story than of the inconvenience. Your dad is 61. He retired last year on Social Security and a small pension, and he keeps a folded 20 in his wallet at all times for emergencies. He has kept that 20 in his wallet your entire life. It is
always the same 20, and he has never had to use it for an actual emergency. He keeps it there because it makes him feel like he has a margin, a buffer, something between him and the edge. And you understood that the first time you really looked at it. You understood what it meant to build your whole sense of security around one bill. And you swore quietly to yourself that your margin would be larger. It is January now. You are 31. Your salary is $118,000, and you have not lifestyle inflated much.
You let yourself upgrade to a slightly better apartment 18 months ago, the kind with a working dishwasher and a parking spot that is yours, but you still make the drip coffee.
You maxed your 401k again, and in 2025, the limit was $23,500, and you hit it. You always hit it. You set it up in January, and then you forget about it, which is the closest thing you have found to a financial superpower. You forget on purpose. You make the money disappear from your life before your brain can negotiate with it. And Danielle texted in November about a group trip to Cabo in January. 7 nights, all-inclusive, split 9 ways, and the per-person cost was not outrageous. But you knew there would be dinners and excursions, and you would come back $1,200 lighter. You said you had something going on. She said, okay. She posted photos on the 14th, and you felt a version of something. Not regret, exactly. More like the awareness of a choice. You chose the spreadsheet over the beach again, and some part of you does not know yet whether that was wisdom or a habit that has gotten too comfortable. That is the question you do not talk about with anyone. Whether the discipline has become its own kind of avoidance. Whether you have gotten so good at deferring gratification that you are deferring life along with it. Owen understands, and Owen is the one person in the Discord server who also tracks his net worth weekly. And you have never met Owen in person. You know, he lives in Ohio, works in software, drives a car very similar to yours, and maxes his Roth IRA every January 1st like a ritual. Owen texted you in December when his portfolio crossed $800,000. You sent him back a single message, keep going. And he sent you the same message 2 weeks later for no reason. Like he knew you needed it, and the portfolio is sitting at $999,180 on a Sunday night in late March. $820 away. And you stare at the number for a long time. Because you have money in a high-yield account, and you could transfer it right now. You could watch The Comma Land tonight at 11:43 p.m. on a Sunday with no witnesses, but it does not feel right to manufacture the moment. The number has to arrive on its own. So you close the app, you go to sleep, you wake up at 6:43, and you make the coffee. You do not open the app first thing, which is unusual, and you are afraid, almost not of the number, but of the anticlimax. You have spent years imagining this moment, and you're not sure you trust what you're about to feel, so you wait until 7:14 to open the app. $1,003,220, and the market moved overnight. Some combination of things you did not control pushed the number past the line while you were sleeping. The comma's in the right place. The digit before it is a 1, and you have been working toward this for 9 years, and it happened while you were unconscious. You sit with it and you wait for the feeling, and there is something, a small, clean, specific feeling, like the sensation of a door clicking shut in a house that has been settling. Not joy, exactly. Not the rush you imagined at 23 when you put $240 into an account and told yourself this was the beginning of something. Just acknowledgement, confirmation, a quiet certainty that the math was always going to work if you let it. And then the feeling passes. It passes in approximately 11 minutes, And you know this because you checked the time when you opened the app and checked it again when you noticed the feeling was gone. Replaced by the sound of the upstairs neighbor's shower and the faint awareness that you are hungry and there is nothing obvious in the refrigerator. You do not call anyone because there is no one to call who would understand without a long explanation that would sound like bragging or like anticlimax. You text Owen just 2 words, "crossed it," and he replies 4 minutes later asking how it feels. And you think about that for a moment. You type back exactly like I thought, then delete it, then type different than I expected, then delete that too, and finally, you send just 2 words. It's quiet. He sends back 1 word, "yeah." And that is the whole conversation. 2 people who have been building invisible things for years, and 1 word was enough.
Here is what changes when you hit 1,000,000 in your 30s. And the answer is smaller than you expected, because the groceries cost the same.
The commute takes the same amount of time, the crack in the passenger mirror is still there, and your dad still keeps the 20 in his wallet.
Danielle is already planning the next trip. Marcus's truck payment is still due on the 1st, and the rent did not change, and the coffee did not change. What changed is harder to locate. It is not in the bank. It is not in the number. It sits somewhere closer to posture than portfolio. You hold the information differently now, not with arrogance, but with something quieter, with the knowledge that you proved something to yourself that most people never test. The Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances puts the median net worth of Americans under 35 at $39,000, and the median age of a millionaire household is 62. You are 31, and the distance between you and the median of your age group is not a trophy. It is information about what is possible when compounding runs in the background.
You know, the next million is built on the first one. And you know, the base is larger now, and the compounding is doing more of the work. But that is not what you are thinking about in the days after the crossing, because you are thinking about the French press. You go back to the store, the one with the housewares aisle, and you find the one you put back on the shelf 4 years ago, or one exactly like it.
You hold it for a moment, and you think about all the mornings you stood at the counter with the $9 bag of coffee and did not resent the choice. You put it in your cart, it costs $94, and you do not do arithmetic in the aisle. You just walk to the register. This is the only thing that changes. Not the car, not the apartment, not the frequency of the trips you decline. Just the math in the aisle goes quiet. Not because the money no longer matters, but because you finally trusted enough to stop watching it every single second of every single day. There is a research team that studied millionaires for years, looking at the relationship between wealth and life satisfaction, and what the data kept showing was consistent. Crossing certain wealth thresholds did not produce the life satisfaction people predicted before crossing them, and the number felt more significant in anticipation than in arrival. Millionaires consistently believed that more money would make them meaningfully happier, and the data consistently said otherwise. And this is not a reason not to build wealth. It is a reason to understand what you are actually building, because you're not building happiness. Happiness is not a dashboard number. You are building the specific freedom of a life where the emergency does not erase the plan, where the unexpected bill is an inconvenience and not a crisis, where you can say no to the thing you do not want and yes to the thing you do, and the account does not punish you for either. That is what $1 million actually is. Not a destination, but a foundation. And Owen crosses 900,000 3 weeks after your conversation. You send him back the message he sent you, keep going, and he does not reply for 2 hours. And when he does, he asks what comes after this.
You think about that longer than you expected, because what comes after this is the second million, which arrives faster because the base is larger and you are no longer starting from zero.
What comes after this is the version of your 30s where you start making choices from a position instead of from a deficit.
What comes after this is the slow and strange realization that the number was never the thing. The number was the test, and you passed it.
Not on a dramatic morning, not with a speech or a spreadsheet printout, but in your sleep on a Sunday night in March while the market did what markets do.
While the upstairs neighbor's pipes made that sound they always make, and the crack in the mirror caught the parking lot light the way it always catches it, you wake up and the number is different, and you are not. And that is exactly the right answer. $4.11 was the checking account balance at 27 after the transfer cleared. The remainder, the proof, the most honest number of the whole story. The app shows $1,003,220 now, and you pour the coffee, not from the $9 bag, but from the French press.
The $94 one, the one you put back on the shelf 4 years ago because the math was wrong, and now the math is quiet.
The coffee tastes exactly the same, and you already knew it would.